Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories, our in-depth look at the goings-on at the Neepawa Banner Press each and every week. I thank you very much for taking a little bit of your time to spend with us. I'm Eoin Devereux, sitting in the big chair this week. I'm joined this week by Kira Paterson.
Hello.
Kira, great to have you in here to share some of the information that you were able to gather up this week and share it with us.
I actually did some work to talk about this week, so that's a change, right?
Oh, no, don't let her fool you there. This is a Kira heavy paper this week. I mean, she will be running this. I said just before we went on, she needs to be sitting in this chair this week running the show. I mean, she ran the paper this week, so, you know.
Yeah, but this is my spot.
Yeah.
I like this spot.
All right. All right, so let's lead right into that. Talking first about some new signage, a sign of change, as it were, in Neepawa, isn't it, Kira?
Yeah. Neepawa Tourism, as you should well know, has been hard at work behind the scenes. And Eoin is part of the Neepawa Tourism board, if you couldn't guess from my little comment there.
Yeah.
And they have just put up some new signage at the corner of Mountain Avenue and Main Street. Main Street is also known as Highway 16. So where there used to be these big wooden dark brown signs with yellow lettering with a little cornucopia on it, they said Business District, or Neepawa Business District, I believe. Those signs have been replaced by some brand spanking new big old white shiny signs with the Neepawa Tourism logo.
If you want to get a closer look at it here you are. And of course, you'll be able to see it when you're driving downtown Neepawa.
Yep.
So.
And you'll be able to see it if you pick up your paper too. Just
Exactly.
saying. But yeah, they look amazing. One of the kind of main reasons behind the need for a switch of signs is those old signs were getting some dry rot, so they were not in very good condition on the inside. They looked really nice on the front, but they were not in very good condition and they weren't going to last much longer, so they had to get rid of those, and they got to put up these brand spanking new beautiful signs. They really pop. They really kind of catch your attention when you drive into town from either side, because they're on both sides of the intersection, kind of facing inwards a little bit. And they've got some nice lighting, and they kept the columns.
Yep.
The columns that were holding up the old wooden signs are still there, the stone cairns, I guess. And they kind of just wanted to keep a little bit of that historic aspect, and it adds to the look of it as well. It looks really, really good. But yeah, I talked to Marilyn Crew. She is on the tourism board as well, and she is with the town of Neepawa as the economic development officer. And so she was telling me all about these signs, as well as a bunch of new ones that are going to be coming up throughout town. There are going to be wayfinding signs pointing out the different points of interest in our community, like the new multi-use trail park, the museum, Beautiful Plains Museum, Margaret Lawrence Home, Riverbend Park, Bird Sanctuary, all these kind of things.
Yep.
The Roxy as well. So yeah, they're going to be, hopefully, depending on weather, they're hoping to get those up this fall. To go along with those, they won't be coming up until the spring, but to go along with them, there will also be flags that have a big image of the different points of interest. And those are going to look really sharp too. They haven't really decided what they're going to do yet, but they're either going to have them all along Mountain Avenue, like where they usually have the Christmas lights over the winter.
Yep.
Either there or in front of each of the points of interest to be like, you have arrived, kind of thing. So
Interesting thing here, Kira. I'll give you a bit of an exclusive, and you can have this little bit of an exclusive as well behind the scenes. We were talking at the last tourism meeting, and the mindset is, the hope is right now that we're going to do both. So hopefully we will have these types of banners. If you've been in the town of Mendoza and you've seen the veterans banners they have hanging on all the lampposts, very similar, almost exactly the same, just showcasing some of our tourism items all the way down the main strip, and as well in front of the actual attractions. So that's something that we are working on right now. Little steps at a time.
Yeah, so they have one set right now that are going to be ready for spring. So they're hoping for a grant to be able to, to be able to get another set so that they can do both. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything that you wanted to add? Obviously, you have a little bit of background on that too.
Well, again, it's one of those things. Tourism, Neepawa tourism, this incarnation has been in existence for about 3 years now. And for a lot of people, sometimes the early going, everyone's excited, and then they sort of fall off because they don't see what's happening. But a lot of these things are a lot of outside of Neepawa things. The first couple years was about brochures, for example, that we distributed out to all these different areas outside of Neepawa. And then these little pamphlet things that we have in small areas here in Neepawa. You don't sort of see the big changes early on, and this is the first of those localized big changes for tourism. So hopefully this will get people a little energized about what Neepawa tourism is trying to do. I know obviously due to the COVID-19 situation this year, tourism wasn't really top of mind for a lot of people. But as opposed to just letting it lay low and maybe burning out that fire, we wanted to keep it extinguished. And hopefully next year, when hopefully there is a little bit of a return to normal, we'll be able to take that and just really run with it. So, no, it was a very good job, Kira, at sort of getting the essence of what's been trying to go on here and how it's been moving forward. So appreciate that. That's the thing. I never write these stories, even though I do have the exclusives. I always pass these over to either Kira or Casper because I don't want that sort of, I don't want it to look like I'm a cheerleader in the paper. I've got to be sort of, I got to be fair. If Neepawa tourism screws up royally, I will write about it. We will mention it. Embezzlement.
Embezzlement. Owen's taking all of the money from the grants, putting it in his pocket.
Yeah. Fancy ties don't pay. Fancy $8 ties don't pay for themselves. But no, thank you, Kira. Appreciate the spotlight you've been putting on tourism throughout this entire endeavor. Let's kick over to the opinion page. As usual, Ken Waddell, each and every week, has some opinions, whether you agree with them or disagree with them. This week, really, if you don't agree with Ken this week, maybe you're wrong on this one, because he talks about the Thanksgiving season and things that he's thankful for. He reminisces about some of his history, him and Christine's sort of background through the years, marriage, working together to make a marriage successful. It touches on a couple different things about marriage, family, spirituality, and just the togetherness of family. It's one of those things you almost didn't expect from Ken, to get a little sentimental, but he really did it this week, and I thought he really pulled it off. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it's funny you say you didn't expect, but it's sorry, it's actually a rerun almost of last year. He did a Thanksgiving column that was basically exactly the same as that, and he mentions it in the column as well. He admits it, but it's definitely something that's good to reiterate around the Thanksgiving season. So it makes sense, but yeah, it's something you expect from him once a year. Apparently, we'll have to see next year if he gets lazy and runs it for a third year in a row.
Oh, jeez. I try and say something about nice about Ken's column, and then you tear in, even the nice one you tear into.
It's a good column, it is, and it's really good stuff to reiterate. It's just that it was also the same as last year, so.
Hey, come on. TV shows have reruns as well from time to time.
That's true. And people don't remember. Like, I know when I read it, I didn't necessarily remember everything that he had said. I kind of remembered the essence of it. But yeah, I didn't remember everything that he said. So it's good for a refresh, because people forget from year to year. Yep. And I'm one of those people.
And it's one of those things, a message that you should remember, to be thankful for those around you and the opportunities that we all have. And let's not take any of that for granted, especially nowadays with the way the world is at this moment. I mean, definitely let's cherish this Thanksgiving, whether you're able to be with those that you love, whether you're not able to due to separation, distance, whatnot. Just be thankful and definitely appreciate it. All right, now we're going to shift over. Once a month, for some inexplicable reason, Ken Waddell decides to give me a little bit of space in the paper where I can spout off about my opinions. And this week is one of those editions. Usually it's about sort of national issues. I'll touch on politics a lot, the current situation in the world. A little more localized this time around, with some national, but not much. I talk about Junior A hockey, and obviously it's something that people in this community do, a fair number do enjoy immensely. I wish there were a little more that enjoyed it. That would help the team's bottom line. But I talk about the situation of Junior A hockey due to the current situation with COVID-19, how it's restricting a lot of the teams. I talk about some of the pratfalls and pitfalls that each and every franchise within the Manitoba Junior Hockey League have to deal with. And I talk about the local team. I'm not going to give away all that much this time because I think this is one of those ones you need to read. If you read my columns, whether you like them, whether you dislike them, you do know that they do come with a tinge of sarcasm, a tinge of humor to them. This is an opportunity for me just to essentially take what's in my head and just throw it on the page, unfiltered, as it were. And I do have a bit of a sarcastic, satirical sense of humor, and I do hope that it comes off on the page. There's a few shots. I take a few shots at the Winnipeg Blues. I take a few shots at the new team in Winnipeg, the Winnipeg Freeze, one of the most ridiculous 90s names I've heard in a long time. Neepawa natives, the soon-to-be former Neepawa natives, are going to be coming up with a new name in the future. Thank God Freeze is not an option, because that sucks. Pardon my PG-13 language, but it just stinks. It really does. And I go off on it in this column. I also talk about what we as a community need to do to support our local team, the soon-to-be former Neepawa natives. And you'll probably see in my columns, I tend to not use that name anymore. Even though they are using it for the next year, as they transition into a new name, I feel like it's best, I'm just going to go with Neepawa Junior A team. From time to time, I will slip. I will use the name natives. It's not that it's a blanket thing, but I'm trying just to sort of get used to it. And hopefully everyone else will be as well. And when it comes to the name change, and I talk about this as well with all the issues Junior A hockey teams deal with, even before COVID, Neepawa was dealing with issues. The day-to-day operations of running a franchise like this are very expensive. And they're very careful with their money. They're not spending wildly like some other franchises in this league are. They're making sure every penny, even though pennies aren't a thing anymore, every penny counts. And when we decided as a when they decided as a collective to change the name, with some pressure and with the changing societal issues with that, we handed that team a $10,000 to $15,000 bill. If you were supportive of changing the name, and I'll admit I was supportive of it as well. We handed that team a $10,000 to $15,000 bill because changing all the uniforms, changing all the letterheads, changing all the merchandise, changing everything about that team costs money. So if you rallied to change the name of the team, what are you going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? I know what I've done about it. I've supported the team monetarily in many different ways over the last 6 months. I'm not going to get into it, but I've kicked in a little bit here and there. So I feel like even if you don't go to hockey games, even if you don't like Junior A hockey, if you live in Neepawa, please support the team in one way, shape, or form. Buy a hat for the new merchandise. Maybe buy a 10-pack for somebody. Give it away to somebody if you want. In some way. We don't need 10 people spending $5,000 each on the team. We need 1,000 people. We need 2,000 people spending $10 on the team. That's a little more attainable. If every single person in Neepawa chipped in $5, chipped in $10 for this team, do you know how far that could go? What is $10 to you? It's a Happy Meal. It's a burger, fries, and a Coke. Why not? Just because this team, I believe, does help put our community on the map in a way. And when the new name comes up, I definitely think it will. So no matter what this team is, the Neepawa whatever name they choose, it doesn't matter. Because when it comes to the Neepawa whatevers, the first name means more than the second name. Always remember that. And hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit of support. At the end of this article, I did rah-rah a little bit for the team, and hopefully it will be a call to action. But I've gone on long enough. Kira, if there's anything you want to throw in, that's fine.
Not really. It's your column.
Yep.
You like to do your little sports
Yep.
speech, like in the classic sports movies where the coach always has that like rallying moment. So that's kind of what that reminded me of at the end of your little talk there.
That's right. All right, now let's go out there, Neepawa, and let's win.
Yep. We had a crap first half. Now let's rally and make the second half count.
Well done. I think that's a perfect way to end off. You can find that on page 6 of this week's edition, page A6 of this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner Press, right next to Helen's recipe. I always put it on Helen's recipes page because that's a popular feature, so I know people will have to look at it one way or another. Thank you, Helen. Thank you very much. And your recipe this week, we were all marveling about Helen's recipe this week. It was really something we all it intrigued us.
It looks amazing. It's called Flapper Pie because the theme this week is the 1920s, and it's like a custard pie with meringue on top.
Yep.
So no spoilers. I'm not going to tell you how to make it. You better check it out because it looks amazing.
It does. It does. Wonderful page 6 as always. All right, now we're going to go back to Kira, who was doing a whole heck of a lot of work and got to see an exclusive of a major business in our community.
Yeah, there's some perks to being in the news business. The Mark Mitchell from Brews Brothers Bistro gave us a call last week and was like, yeah, so we're done our renovations. We're not quite open yet, but would you like to get in before we open and get some pictures of the new space so that you can get like the scoop and everybody will have to see the paper to see the restaurant. So I was like, heck yeah. And went over there, got some pictures, a beautiful space. I think I mentioned it a little bit last week as well because we did have a picture in last week's paper with a little bit of a preview. And this week has the story. And basically it's about how they started their renovations. They were closed for 2 or 3 months. Planning just to focus on their renovations and that, and they finished about mid-August, and now it's just been down to waiting for permits. And that is such a frustrating thing because it's completely out of your control, and you just have to wait for all of the bureaucracy to get through that and hopefully get some piece of paper back that says you can open. And so yeah, last I heard they have not received it. So that's what's in the story. If like tomorrow they say then that they're going to be able to open, then our story's out of date. Sorry, but but yeah. So there's a sneak peek there with a view of the new kitchen, a view of the new dining room. A little bit of a sneak peek of their fancy new bathrooms, and then obviously some information about the work that they've put into it. I guess they've been actually trying to expand their business for about 5 years now, and they've been looking at different places to purchase that had bigger space. They looked at our old Banner building on Hamilton Street. They looked at the old Resource Center, which has been demolished, but eventually they actually got the option to purchase the rest of the building that they are in, which makes it so much easier. They don't have to move everything. All they had to do was get to work on the renovations. So Mark said that was kind of the ideal option for them, and it really worked out that was able to happen. And I think it works out really well for everyone because everybody, I think, that went there loved that space, even though it was small before. They just love the atmosphere of that area, and they know where to go. So it's not like, oh, we've moved. Where the heck is this place, right? It's you go to the same place and you walk in and it's like twice the size, and it's just like it's breathtaking. It's beautiful. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out on their Facebook, in our paper. We will try to update you as soon as we hear something, and it's going to be really exciting when they finally do open.
If you want to see some of those pictures, they are on page 2 of this week's edition. As well, Kira talks about, obviously, a lot of people looking forward to it. There's going to be a slight change in the menu as well. They're going to be focusing away from some of the breakfast items and moving into the evening. So if you want to go have a nice experience out, a nice meal out in the evening, they're going to have some really intriguing options for you.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of interesting you bring up the menu. They're going to be trying different things for the first few weeks. They're going to be testing basically anybody who comes in. They're going to be guinea pigs. So the menus will be changing from week to week, trying different things. Mark said that they're doing just disposable menus for the first while so that they can put new things on them and try different foods and different recipes and see what's popular. And then obviously, because whenever they open, it's probably not going to be a big grand opening where lots of people can come and they can do a big party. They're hoping that potentially by the time they get their menu solidified, they'll be able to have kind of a grand opening sort of thing that way, which will be exciting too because they always have really good food. They've got some great cooks there too.
Yeah, very interesting. Page 2, this week's edition. Definitely take a few minutes of your time and get updated on what they've been doing down at Brews Brothers. All right, now this is a feature in a way that's been going on the last couple of weeks. Let's just very quickly, Kira, talk about some of these grants. You've been writing over the last several weeks about some grant money that's been distributed throughout the Westman area.
Yes. Actually, it's been throughout Canada. It's a federal fund, the Emergency Community Support Fund, and it goes to community foundations all over the country. The first round just finished a few weeks ago. They announced all of the recipients, and I did a little bit of a follow-up on the recipients that were from Big Grass Community Foundation, which is Gladstone area, Plumas, that kind of thing, Carberry Area Community Foundation, and Beautiful Plains Community Foundation, which is our area in Neepawa. And they all got $40,000 to distribute to their communities, to different organizations that needed help paying for some things that have come up because of COVID-19. And the $40,000 went a long way in all these communities. They've got tons of different organizations that benefited from it. But some even better news is that they're doing a round 2 of the support fund, and each of the community foundations is going to be receiving an additional $30,000. So I've got a little bit of information on that, who can apply, if people that had received some money can apply, and that kind of a thing. And so there's also an ad in there with information about where you can apply if you're an organization that can use some of that money. There is information in there about where you can apply and that kind of a thing. I definitely wanted to expand a little bit on the ad with some background information and that kind of a thing, but the ad has kind of the technical details that you'd need to know. So definitely check that out. What page was that on? Do you remember? Page A9. I just happened to flip to it. Yep. Page 9 has that information there. It has some quotes from the different community foundation leaders, what it's meant to their communities that they're going to be able to get this extra $30,000. So that's $70,000 in total going to each of these community areas, which is amazing. That's a huge chunk of money.
Very, very necessary for some of these organizations. A9, you can check that out on this week's paper. We're going to shift over just very quickly because there's 2 other things I definitely want to talk about before all this is said and done. The Neepawa, soon to be former natives, currently the Neepawa natives home opener scheduled for Friday, October 9th. They will be playing Winkler. I did a preview with coach and general manager Ken Pearson on that. He's feeling optimistic about the season. If you're going to go down there, and I sincerely hope that you do. Because hockey season for the NHL is over. Basketball season, when you're watching this, will most likely be over. Baseball is boring to watch on TV. And football, well, American football is on Sundays. MJHL hockey will be on every Friday and Saturday. So hopefully you'll go down to your local arena and check it out. On Friday the 9th, Neepawa will be playing Winkler. It will be the home opener. I do hope you go down there. Like I said, I just wanted to quickly touch on that because I want to go over to this next one. First off, the B section. We had a special section. Kira put a lot of work into it, as well as Diane and John Drinkwater, I pretty much came in the last minute, put together a portion of the front page to come off as a hero, just to say I actually tried. But Kira and Diane and John did most of the work on this for fire safety, and it came out incredibly well. It's 8 pages. It covers all the different fire departments within our region, definitely giving them a shout out, a much deserved shout out as well. Plumas, Neepawa, Carberry, Amaranth, just a few of those. It's something we're very proud to sort of spotlight and showcase each and every year. What do you think, Kira?
Yeah, it was kind of fun to put together. I don't think I have been responsible for putting that one together myself before, so it was interesting because some of them, they just kept their last year's picture because they didn't want to have to worry about getting everybody together in this COVID-19 kind of time. And then some, obviously, because they're working together very closely, very often, they're in their own little cohort. So having that space between them wasn't as much of a concern. So some of them did get new photos. So it was getting new photos, new names, old photos, all that kind of thing together. It was kind of an interesting process. But yeah, I enjoyed it because we really like to spotlight the work that they do. They're all volunteers. They're not paid the big bucks for it, right? So it's something that they all do out of the goodness of their heart in these communities, and we really appreciate what they do to keep us safe. Because unfortunately, there are going to be those times when we need them, and they always step up. So it's really good to be able to give a shout out to them.
Well said. Very much well said on that. That is a B section, 8 pages. It covers the entire, a large portion of our Westman region, definitely within our readership. So I hope you take a little bit of time, check it out, see for yourselves the individuals who are volunteering their time and who are stepping up in all the right ways, and show them that little bit of appreciation if you can. Before we close out though, one other item definitely wanted to put a showcase on, and Ken Waddell put the fire to the feet, as it were, to get as many people from here, from the Banner and Press, to sort of put in recipes. So
it was actually Diane's idea, but then people kind of started to forget about it. So Ken was like, "Get your recipes in, come on!
Yeah.
I expect you to be making them for us too."
So here on page A12, you can see all the recipes. Everybody's got a recipe in there, almost everybody. Even I put in a recipe. I'm not going to give it away, but the super easy, barely an inconvenience pumpkin pie recipe is one I definitely you should check out. It's a pretty good one. And Kira as well, you threw one in there as well.
Yeah, I kind of found one last minute and a little bit made it my own and that kind of thing. But yeah, we've got a few in there that look really, really good. So definitely try those out. And if you don't feel like cooking, we also have a Boston Pizza ad on that page, so you can check out some of the food that is available there.
Yep. Definitely post-Thanksgiving, I will be checking that out. So that's everything. And actually, it's not everything. There's a lot of other things we didn't have time to cover. But I hope you will take a little bit of time to go through all the pages. And if you have any story ideas or suggestions for us, we do appreciate them. You can contact us at news@neepawabanner.com or contact us at 476-3401. If you have some advertising, we appreciate that as well. You can contact us at ads@neepawabanner.com, because ads do keep us rolling. $8 ties, again, don't pay for themselves. So other than that, I want to thank Kira Paterson again. Kira, thanks for sitting in and sharing all the news you came up with for us this week.
Yeah, for sure. I always like to talk when I have something to talk about. So.
And again, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you taking the time to spend with us each and every week right here on NAC TV and the stories behind the stories.